Parallel structure, a la Shmoop. We like to think that without his classic example of parallel structure, I came, I saw, I conquered, Caesar couldn't have conquered more than the stretch of land underneath his big toe. Caesar obviously spent hours with a grammar textbook because he apparently knew that parallel structure is powerful. It forms a list of ideas like coming, seeing, and conquering. Usually it'll tie them together with ors, ands, or commas. It creates a pattern for the reader to follow so that the ideas are easier to get and remember. Basically, it just makes stuff sound awesome, which is important when ruling an empire or writing an English paper. The number one rule of parallelism is picking a part of speech for your list and sticking to it. Verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, whatever. Just don't change it up in the middle of your list. For example, Patrick ruined the school production of Julius Caesar by saying his line incorrectly, fainting into Brutus's arms and his inability to spit out another word. That sentence starts off with two verbs, saying and feigning, and then ends on the noun inability. A verb, and then suddenly a noun? That kind of thing will lose an audience faster than anyone can say Candy Crush Saga. Well, that's a great game. Anyway, since not all parts of speech translate perfectly into other parts of speech, some tweaking might be needed to fix the broken parallelism. But it'll sound much better like this. Patrick ruined the school production of Julius Caesar by saying his line wrong, fainting into Brutus's arms, and blanking on the rest of the script. There are two things that make parallelism easy to spot and fix if something is out of whack. First, as we've already seen, every item on the list must be the same part of speech. Second, there's usually a suffix or a helper word that appears in every item on the list, like in our sentence about Patrick, all of the verbs ending in ing. So let's check out the three common types of parallelism. They all have a suffix or helper word, and they're all the same part of speech. First is infinitives, the to blank form of verbs, like the drama teacher started to cry, to scramble for the script, and to put on a toga himself. You can take those extra to's out and still have parallelism. To cry, scramble for the script, and put on a toga. But make sure that if you stick them back in, it still makes sense. Like, there's no such thing as to putting on a toga. Then there's gerund parallelism. A gerund is just the ing form of a verb which is used as a noun. For example, Patrick's mom likes baking cookies, leading the PTA, and pressuring her son into live theater. Why would she do that? We don't know. She's not a good mother. Anyway, sometimes an infinitive tries to sneak in. Make sure you keep those guys out of there. And finally, there's adverb parallelism. Those words that end in ly that are used to describe verbs. Patrick's grandparents had bad hearing, so they kept watching proudly, devotedly, and lovingly. If there's no ly at the end, like if they were watching proudly, devotedly, and with love, then there's no parallelism. Keep things parallel with nice, orderly lists. Same part of speech, same suffix or helper word, and maybe you too can conquer millions without threatening pillaging and murdering and all that stuff. Plus, these days they have penicillin, which helps. Subscribe to check out more equally fantabulous videos. You should see the subscribe button just below this one. If you're having trouble locating it, we recommend you watch our video, How to Find the Subscribe Button.